Hello everybody, welcome back. Let's have a look at Bitcoin, shall we? And then we'll move on to some altcoins throughout the day. I suppose I've got a bit of time today to have a look at some of the requests. And I suppose if you want me to look at coins and things like that, specific altcoins, just leave comments in the description below, or you can join my Patreon channel where we basically do 2 live streams a week. So we got one tonight anyway. So it's £7.50 a month, and usually they last for about 2 hours, and we just look at chart after chart after chart. But if if you want to, I suppose, leave a comment in the description, then whoever's, I suppose, whatever coin's the most popular, we can look at that. So this is Bitcoin. So we're looking at it here on the daily, and I suppose we could argue that it does look like we're having, I suppose after what happened yesterday and what's still in a way continuing today, which is significant green, it might give the impression that this is the be all and end all. We're going to the moon. So far 28% bounce, and that's pretty good because we anticipate. Well, I got in quite well on that one, based upon this long-term analysis, which is very simple. It's extremely simple. This is why I made the video, which is a historical. I can't remember what I called it. Important historical information on Bitcoin, and it's this simple. Okay, so this is Bitcoin on a weekly chart. This green 50 exponential shows how important it can be. So everyone thinks the 20 weekly is like the be all and end all. The 20 weekly is always important because it's simple Bollinger Band strategy. Being above it is bullish, being below it, particularly bearish, and obviously coming back up to test it at the top of the range, wherever the 20 weekly will be, is very likely to be a resistance. But what escapes most people is this 50 exponential moving average has also had extreme significance throughout Bitcoin's history. And again, we already made a video on this, and this is how we've managed to, I always say we, the royal we. This is how I managed to get this epic bounce and be 28% up on Bitcoin plus the rest, the first couple of days of this week. So we were looking at this, obviously, and this was the 2013 rally. We had a big move up and a massive, horrendous crash back down. And where did we bounce to? We bounced on the 50 exponential moving average on the weekly. We had a nice rally, a very nice rally from there on. Again, this is a weekly chart, okay? So, bear in mind, this can take up a fair bit of time, 129%, and then we fell back down to bounce from it again. We broke down to it and pretty much nailed it, and then finished the rally off with 1,300%, so not too bad. When we even started to break down, this is a bubble pop, we broke down, and even on the first pass, we tagged it here, and even from that wick to the top, that was a 100% move. So again, even in bubble pop territory, we do have significant moves from it. And then when we finally break down, we reaccumulate at a lower level, which is actually the 200 exponential moving average in this occasion. Breaking above it again, carrying on with another bear market. Another bull market all over again. Tagging it here, tagging it here, tagging it here, and then just floating all the way up until the bubble pop moment, where we bubble popped and bounced from it. And again, this was a 100% move again on the bubble pop. So whether or not we are bubble popping or we're just finally coming down to test it, it doesn't really matter. The obvious trade was here, and I waited for the weekly close. I didn't want to go in before we got the weekly close. So yesterday morning, I wake up early. Obviously, I've got 2 little kids. Wake up very early, and just before I get them out and start feeding them breakfast, I check the weekly close, and then I went shopping. But putting things into context, right? Okay, so this was an obvious place to catch a bounce from, but the same analysis applies there that I have said, prior to that epic bounce move there, which is that basically what we're looking to probably do now, just like any chart which falls down so dramatically, is a period of reaccumulation. So we've had a big bounce already, and this bounce could even take us up to 42 or wherever this 200 exponential is. 42,000. Probably get a significant rejection from there, in my opinion. The max I would imagine would be about 47,000. But personally, I think what's likely to happen is we're going to come back down to test the lower areas of the range. Maybe where these candle bodies closed here. If we start closing candle bodies, lower than these last candle bodies, because the wicks obviously went lower, but the candle bodies count for something. We've got lows here, we've got lower lows here. We will likely come back down to test the lower levels of the range. And if that's the case, we really don't want to see candle bodies closing below these ones here, because it would imply further downside, continued with this, which is an actual downtrend. This is a downtrend. We've got a high, lower high, low, lower lows. I mean, it's a downtrend really. There's no signs of reprieve at the moment. So we caught the good bounce. That's what we got. We got the epic bounce. We've potentially got a really good entry point indefinitely for the rest of the year, or maybe a lifetime. Who knows? But what we also have to accept is that downtrends this size do take a bit of time to cool off. What needs to happen is that the moving averages need to basically start to merge and then diverge again, and we're not going to get anything like that anytime soon. To see a V-shaped recovery at this stage now is relatively unlikely. What we're more looking to see is a period of sideways accumulation. And the good thing about sideways accumulation is that it usually is quite volatile. It will establish a range, and within that range we'll be able to trade, or we could set up some bots, and sometimes that's one of the best things you can do. In sideways movement, bots work really well, sort of buying and selling, buying and selling, buying and selling in a range. So I mean, there's a number of different ways you could play it, but the safest way would be a Bitcoin to Tether bot, which basically buys and sells and buys and sells and buys and sells. Worst thing that could ever happen is that throughout that period you're earning all your tether, which is basically just going to be stacked to the side, and if we break down, then you just get stuck with your Bitcoin. No big deal. We all expect Bitcoin to recover, so yeah, it seems like a bit of a win-win kind of situation to play out an accumulation zone. But until we get an established range, which is what we're looking to find, we could hold off because we don't know where the range will be. My expectation is that we probably will come down to maybe as low as this, but probably a little higher, possibly around 34, 35. And try to establish a range between this area of support, between these two. This is basically going to be the level of support as low as 33 to as high as 38. They could end up being our supports over the next few weeks, and highs of about 50, just short of 50,000, 49,500 or so. So that's how I'm seeing Bitcoin play out right now. I'm not looking for a full reversal right yet, but what I am looking for is a trading range that we can use with either bots, or just try and trade that range and just be gentle and delicate with it, and expect nothing particular, whether it's huge uptrend or huge downtrend. Just expect a sideways action, that would be the best and healthiest and most likely way that this is going to play out. Allowing for these moving averages to flatten out again, and then start to move back up again. Probably going to be looking at some more significant upside for Bitcoin, in my opinion, provided we hold above 33,000. Significant upside throughout the rest of the year, but a couple of months, maybe 1 or 2 months of sideways action is definitely going to be my preference. Anyway, I'm going to leave it with you there, but thank you for watching. I hope you have a nice day. Take it easy.